Tigers will take on the South Carolina Gamecocks in a matchup of a battle of unbeatens. South Carolina, arguably the best team in the country. I don't even know if that's an argument, Steve, to be completely honest. I think that is just fact, right? I'll say that again. South Carolina, the best team in the country, taking on the Clemson Tigers, who have had a good season so far, but this obviously will be their toughest test in this one. 3 straight for Clemson on this one against Gardner, Webb, Wofford, and then Richmond. When you hear those names, it doesn't sound like, well, they've played a South Carolina team. And that's what we're getting into on this one. South Carolina honestly just made Maryland look bad. And that was a ranked opponent. We talked about it in our recap that we thought that they could be tested, and they weren't. And we asked, when are they going to be challenged? And I'm not sure if it's going to be this one against Clemson, Steve.
I'm not sure either. I really wanted to find some kind of secret weapon or secret strategy where I could say, well, gee, it's another in-state rivalry game and the fan base would be really into it, and it probably means more to the fans than it does to the players and the coaching staff. This is as good as it got. Okay. Now, the good news for Clemson is they won 3 straight, as you said. They're coming off an impressive 21-point win over a very good Richmond team. I mean, the Lady Spiders are a pretty good team. They're not South Carolina. They're not Maryland. So Amari Robinson, Elijah Douglas, they combined for 33. So more than half of their 61 points in the win. And they've been scoring in the paint. So that could be a fun thing to watch. I mean, are they really going to match up well against Boston and the rest of the Lady Gamecocks front court? But the bad news is they play number 1 South Carolina, a team that many consider worthy of applying for an expansion franchise in the WNBA. I mean, that's how good this team is from top to bottom.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah. I mean, as an exhibition game, that would be great. Back in the old ABA, again, you're too young to remember the ABA, but you had AA teams playing like premier college programs in exhibitions and whatever. And, and there were times that the college teams beat some of the ABA sides, but it was really entertaining basketball. South Carolina is they're just good. They're just very, very good. They do everything well. Raven Johnson is just the breakout star. I mean, yes, Boston is the best player in the country. They've got players that can shoot inside, outside. South Carolina plays smothering defense. There's not a whole lot of things you could say negative about South Carolina. But in this game, you hope it stays under 20 points, only because it is such an in-state rivalry. And I think it would be a good tune-up for South Carolina to be challenged a bit, especially inside as they get ready to play Stanford. I think they play on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, Christian. Is that correct? If they play on Sunday? Yeah, I couldn't remember whether it was Saturday or...
My schedule is cleared. I am well aware they play on Sunday.
Well, I need to do the same. I mean, I might even be snowed in this weekend, so it's possible that, I'll have a perfect excuse to watch every game, but I'm definitely going to watch, the South Carolina Stanford game. But I think it's going to be individual victories for Clemson. I don't know that it's going to be a team victory. And I think for South Carolina, if they can just keep plugging away, I don't want to say use Clemson as a scrimmage opponent, but in essence, it's going to be almost like a glorified scrimmage, and get themselves set and get themselves, on the edge to be able to play the number 2 team in the country, which some people will say Stanford's the best team in the country. But I think people that are saying that have not watched South Carolina play yet.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game on Sunday. As you mentioned, South Carolina and Stanford Sunday. But beforehand, as we mentioned in this game, the preview that we are covering, South Carolina at Clemson, that's one's at 6 o'clock on Thursday night, ACC Network. This is the game that Clemson's got to get through before they head to Paradise Jam to take on teams like Arkansas, Kansas State, and Northern Arizona in their invitational of their own. Again, South Carolina, number 1 in the country, heading to take on the Lady Tigers of Clemson Thursday at 6 o'clock on ACC Network.
Yes. Now, South Carolina did suffer a loss today It wasn't on the court. The top women's recruit, 5-star recruit in the country, Juju Watkins, signed a letter of intent with USC, not University of South Carolina, but University of Southern California. So technically, South Carolina can be beaten. It just doesn't happen on the basketball court.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that things. If you're a South Carolina fan and you heard about that recruiting news as well, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Is that something that you're worried about, or they'll just figure something out and move forward? There's a reason this team only lost 2 games last year and hasn't even been remotely close to losing one so far this year. And I think recruiting has a lot to do with that. So again, let us know in the comments below. South Carolina doing their thing, and they'll see if they can do it moving forward against this Clemson squad on Thursday night.